When you start opening the heart, when you become moment focused and start really expanding, you meet whatever's in you that's limiting that.
Culture of like speed healing.
Oh yeah.
Right? Everybody wants to go to their past, dig it up, discard it.
Welcome, Paul and Kathie, to Quantum Conversations, where we talk about all things quantum touch and really how that interacts in our lives. And I really was excited to talk to both of you because what I've noticed is talking to practitioners and instructors is that quantum touch becomes a lifestyle. And you two both talk about living a quantum life. So maybe we can just start with, what does a quantum life mean?
Wow.
First
we
off,
could go on.
Yeah, we
could
could go on.
First
off, I love that you're talking about all things quantum.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. So what's a quantum life?
Well, you know, the thing is that quantum touch is very unique on the planet. You know, it's a coalition of so much information from so many different places on the planet and times in the planet. And it is truly an all-encompassing quantum field for its particular brand, what it does, and you know what we're there to do when we're in a quantum touch workshop or as a practitioner or just working with ourselves. A good friend was kind of like he popped his head into one of our workshops, and somebody from the just to say ask a question, and then somebody said something to him from the workshop, and he said, "Are you quantum touching me?" he's his culture, and he was laughing, and to him it's like yes, we are quantum touching in the sense that what is the touch we put in, it becomes like of the quantum field so quickly in quantum touches workshops. Once you're beyond level 1, and even within level 1, you're going into the quantum field or the field of your imagination, or everybody has a definition for it that is like their own unique perspective on what's happening, and there's facts and then there's conjecture. And so we're swimming in all of it now as we all move more deeply into the quantum fields of all that is, as scientists, as the scientific community starts to edify what we've been pointing at forever, right?
Yeah. I think one thing that quantum touch really highlighted for me, well, there's a lot. I mean, working with life force energy, simply just becoming aware of life force energy. I think it was really interesting when we learned how to bring life force energy through our body, and I could feel that coming through my body. I was like, oh, I already know this. This is what I feel when I hold my kids. This is what I feel when I'm with my husband. Like, this is what I feel when I'm just watching a sunset. And I was like, oh, that's what that is. That was the energy. I was feeling that already. And it was really funny because I came into the workshop proclaiming, I have no experience in energy healing. I don't know anything about energy. And then taking the workshop, and then years later, kind of reflecting back and like, oh, that makes more sense now. Or, oh, I can understand how I was already tapping into it simply by using intention. I can see the times I became intentional and how that shifted my reality. So I see how I can use all those elements in my lifestyle and how I was already tapping into that before I even took the workshop. But quantum touch does a really good job of making it make sense, making it tangible, making it like a framework so that you can understand what you were, I don't even know if understand is the right word. You have a framework for using the energy.
It's like an invitation to step into it. Yeah. It's just languaging people so they can see that point and go, oh, there's the door.
Yeah. And I love the way you put that. Thea, I'm saying your name right?
Yeah, Thea.
Yeah. Thea. We're also metaphysical ministers, right? And metaphysics is the science of direct knowledge. So it's probably the greatest science of all because it doesn't require belief systems and understanding. It's what is. And so that's what we love about quantum touch. It's really pointing to all the principles of how things manifest. And once you understand how to connect to it, and then how to receive that information through an open highway, and actually receiving the information, because we're all works in progress, right? And because you do it with an open heart and wonder and curiosity, and it's easier to really fall in love with the process, right? And really the journey, Then how we can use that to improve our lives and the lives of others, right? In so many miraculous ways. It's like we're bypassing the limitations of the limited mind, and we're going into the expansive mind that has, like, there's no limit to what can happen there. And we'll just meet our own limitations and belief systems along the way, and that gives us a chance to clear them out and grow, right? Because we often say the only limit to this work is what you believe is possible.
Absolutely, yeah.
Or what you believe isn't.
What you believe isn't.
And so when we talk about clearing the beliefs, we're not asking you to let go of a belief that's solid and valid for you, but to just find those places where you could perhaps, expand your awareness and let something show you in reality. We put the quantum in touch, you know what I mean? By doing that.
Yeah, right. And just to, because I've been into psychology, and I'm, was trained to be transpersonal counselor and so many other things, right? But anyway, and an empowerment coach too. And here's the deal about empowerment coaching. If you're only working with a conscious mind, right, you're going to be limited by your own enculturation and your, what you've been taught you can and can't do. And then they talk about, what really happens in our life is mostly, probably 85%, coming from our unconscious. And then you wonder why in your conscious mind things just keep happening the way they're happening, or you keep getting certain kinds of illnesses, or people come into your life or whatever, right? And if you're not aware of what the unconscious is up to, right, then you're missing a big part of how life works. So by illuminating that from the superconscious, so when the unconscious is so much more powerful than our conscious mind, like millions of times more powerful. And so to illuminate it and see it is great, but then how do you make change there? Through the superconscious, which would be aware presence. And that's from the field. So that presence of field awareness and that deeper, innate understanding of who we are shifts the unconscious automatically. And so I love how Quantum Touch is showing us how to clear the way for the information in the field to actually come through, and so we can embody it, integrate it, and then live it, right? Because it's a all-inclusive thing. You can't really separate any step out of that. You contact it, you allow as much through as you can, you see where you're getting in the way, and that's a process in itself of continual growth and heart opening. And then having it integrate through our energy system is wisdom. When we integrate through our energy systems, and then we live it as just who we are now, is the whole idea. And because we're in an alignment with our higher self and the natural forces of the universe, things are going to go so much better. And we're going to be happy because we're being ourselves and we're connected to source.
Well, and just to clarify what you said, because I want to make sure that I'm even understanding and that people are watching are understanding. When you say the super conscious, the field, life force energy, are those all the same thing, or are those different? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, these are more terms that the psychologists have brought forward. Jungian therapy, these are empowerment ways of looking at things psychologically, but spiritually, we're talking about our higher self.
Universal love.
And we're
big principle. And that's
our inner healer, right?
Such a good thing that you asked the question, because that's exactly what quantum touch does for people, is takes all of those aspects and everything that could possibly, like Paul, he's just a researcher, constantly always looking at all the aspects, but QT brings it down into that everyday language. And yet, of course, we're using languaging too, like resonance, entrainment, frequency, that is still not everyday language for a lot of people. But once you start to get all those larger concepts funneling through the whole, understanding as a collective in a quantum field, then the work comes off the page in a way that is like expansive for others, and they'll find themselves affected in the field without needing that explanation, that deeper explanation. But if you're interested, that is what quantum touch has done, is they've extrapolated and simplified and put it into an understandable container.
Yeah. I think that's what I really liked about quantum touch is it was accessible because they made it simple and easy to understand, but because you can look at it from so many different perspectives, right? You can look at it from a psychology perspective or from like a physical, like a quantum physics perspective, because I was thinking about the eighth chakra and all probabilities and this idea that there's quantum realities, like infinite parallel realities, and we can jump between them. And I was trying to make sense of that in my mind. And then this morning, as I was thinking about that, I'm like, okay, so in quantum touch, we talk about it as all possibilities exist and they can all exist simultaneously and we can tap into them. But then from a neuro perspective, I was thinking about the reticular activating system and how we're already processing all this information and we just can't compute it all at once. So our mind will only retain what is aligned with our beliefs and it'll kind of block the rest out. So then I was like, well, if we can change our beliefs, then we can change what input is coming in. So it's not that input is new, it's just now we're allowing ourselves to see that input or that opportunity, even though it was always there. We just weren't able to see it.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's,
What you said.
what you said. That's so great. Yeah.
The reticular activator is a big part of the whole deal too, isn't it? And languaging it so that it can get past that filter.
Yeah. Well, I look back and like I think about even when I first met my husband and he told me he drove a red Mazda 6. I was like, I don't even know what a Mazda 6 is. I think I know what a Mazda is. And then suddenly I'm seeing red Mazdas everywhere. I'm seeing Mazda 6 everywhere. And I'm like, did they suddenly just appear? But I suddenly had an awareness of them and then I could see them everywhere. But prior to that, I never noticed them.
Yeah, isn't that amazing how that works? Or you're thinking of buying a car and then you see it everywhere. Or you have kids and you see little kids. You have teenagers, you see teenagers.
Yeah.
So that shows us we get what we focus on. Where we focus, energy goes, right? And flows, right? Yeah, what I love about all of this too, it doesn't require a belief system. It's direct knowledge. And so we're not learning anything, we're unlearning to remember what we've always known. Right? And so it's just a clearing away and a letting go and finding out like who we are beyond the conditioning. And it's innate nature. And that innate nature is consciousness. And that's the cool thing about quantum healing. It allows us to access our consciousness to access the field. And that changes matter. That shifts matter. So why this work also is so cool when you go to the quantum, right? We're talking, the finest photonic light particles you can imagine, right? On the smallest quantity. When we go into that zone, we're going into the subatomic, and that's where things form itself from here. From subatomic, then it comes into the molecular, the cellular, and then it comes into the body, right? So it all happens in that field. So when we can open our heart and directly contact that field,
Mm-hmm.
we're bypassing everything in between and we're going directly to where everything happens.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, we can affect change. So I always let people know when we're doing this kind of work that when you see your body alignment changing, which is super cool. I've never really seen anything like it. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
love
Mm-hmm.
working that way with people, alignments and
Mm-hmm.
pain reduction. It's amazing. But we also let them know that what happened, the alignment was the last thing you see with your eyes.
Mm.
But what really occurred was subatomic. So that means that we're accessing that subatomic, the field,
Mm-hmm.
with consciousness and an open heart, love, right? And
Mm-hmm.
from there, everything starts to unravel.
With
So
your
it's
intention and your
an
attention.
attention, everything starts to unravel from the inside out. And that's what's really cool about this because it's like a shamanic journey in a way because
Mm-hmm.
it goes right to the very beginning, you know, embryonic. And
Mm-hmm.
it every experience we've had up to this
Mm-hmm.
point, right,
Mm-hmm.
is stored in us like a tree.
Mm-hmm.
So if you cut a tree down, it's 100 years old. Each ring tells a story. If it's been a bad year for bugs or rain or drought, it's going to have knots. So when we get traumas in life, you know, we meet ourselves. So what I love about it, the journey of unraveling all of that
Mm-hmm.
back into wholeness, back into homeostasis or harmony.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an unlearning and an unraveling to come back into our natural state.
Mm-hmm. So the more I practice quantum touch, the more I become in tune with nature and I can see the patterns and the connection and just our innate nature,
Mhm.
even our true nature. I have young kids and just watching what their instincts are is fascinating. If
Mhm.
someone's not feeling well, they want to give a hug, they want to put their hands on there. The other day I stabbed my hand with a screwdriver because I was fixing a chair. And right away, my daughter runs over and she wants to put her hand on my hand. She's like, "Oh, I love you, mommy."
Oh,
And I
yeah.
was like, she's basically
So nice.
doing what we talk about in quantum touch, but I've
Yeah.
never taught her that.
Yeah. This is all leading to the same place, and it's the becoming.
Mm,
And the rebranding of all the workshops recently of becoming conscious, becoming the becoming, right? And I was like,
yeah,
is are we becoming really, or aren't we already that? And it's like, yes, we are. We are already everything. There's nothing we're actually
yeah,
teaching you, but you're becoming aware that you
yeah,
are that already, that you are that already, and this is the way to access that. And it's not like you get a hallway pass for everything with a level one. Like it's a process of learning.
yeah,
It's a process of unflowering. It's a process of becoming.
yeah,
It really is, but not something that you aren't,
yeah,
something that you've always been innately.
yeah. Well, it kind of feels like peeling back the layers of limitation, of
Hmm.
becoming aware of something that I thought was truth. And then I'm like, maybe that's not true. And maybe this could also be true, or really becoming aware of those limitations. And once again, my kids have done such a great job of just showing me that because they'll want to do something and I'll want to stop them midway to be like, no, do it this way. And then if I can just kind of like sit back and watch what they want to do, it's genius. And it probably is going to turn out better than I would have expected. And then it challenges my beliefs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
teach children are such
Yeah,
teachers.
and it just shows you it's all around us, and that
Yeah.
the innocence that they bring in the
Yeah.
purity that they're here in, and as especially with certain kinds of parenting and direction,
Yeah.
that is a blossoming, something that is always there and won't get redirected, in a way that isn't of service to the body and the breath,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah, children, oh my. You know, it's so nice that you're giving them the freedom
Hmm.
to explore and find out who they are
Hmm.
rather than have a template put
Hmm.
on it
Hmm.
and say you have to look at things this way, you have to
Hmm.
believe this, you
Hmm.
know, this is how we do
Yeah.
it. It's no, explore, find out,
Yeah.
relate to nature on your own terms, and you don't have to classify and objectify things. You can actually have a relationship with things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like what I call the reminding. There's your mind, and we're going to remind you of who you really are and what you have access to, and it's all in here.
Yeah, that's why they say, or Eckhart Tolle talks about this too. The minute if a child looks at a flower and we go, that's a rose, they're not having an experience of what it actually is. So the mind labels it. Oh, I know what it is now. No curiosity. There's no sense of connection. It has its own fragrance, its whole way of being. It's like we've made a mental categorization of it, which doesn't allow us to be in relationship with anything, actually, because we have a mental relationship with things, not an actual presence and heartfelt connection and curiosity and wonder. What is this? I want to explore it. I want to experience it, rather than label it. And then I stop experiencing it.
Yeah, it's back to the filters of the reticular activation system, right? In some ways, too, because you start to pull that apart more and more as time goes on, in the sense that you change your whole filter system. And you think, well, maybe I don't have a filter anymore, and that's why I'm here. But it's like we always have filters. We have to have filters to be able to program ourselves in this matrix of things to do and stuff, right? So but it's like you shift your filter. Like I just like really feel the resonance of how to live a life in quantum touch, in the piece about running energy into our past and future, right? That is that's next level, right? Because if you can core down into that for the rest of your life, and you can see how what your thoughts are doing. We call it the thought sphere. I'm in the thought sphere, and that's not good. And it's like, so what's your filter, and how are you coring down into running energy into your past and future? Because really, I was talking to Paul about this today, because I'm really doing my research on manifestation. I really have pulled it in for years and years. I'm a great YouTuber, and I just love, reality transurfing and all that kind of stuff, and just looking at how this whole, construct works. And it's really, I'm creating my reality from referencing the past. And what is the past but the future that's, I've been staring at, and it kind of, it's like it goes by me on, have you ever seen those things in highways that, the car doesn't look like it's moving, it looks like the highway's moving, and you're just in the car and the highway's going like this all the time. And here's the highway of the future, and I'm projecting stuff into it, and it's moving towards me, moving through me, past me, and now it's my past. And what I didn't like about what happened, I'm going to start working on for the next. And depending on the quality of the energy that I run into, what I feel is the past but was really the future, come into present, is going to determine how I continue to project into the future, which will then become closer and closer and become my past, right? And so it's like all of these skills are honing the energy of what is the quality of your life, is the quality of the energy you view the past and the future with. I mean, we start getting planning stuff, and Paul is a visionary. He likes to just throw out possibilities beyond. And I'm like, I can't argue about the future that far into the future, right? Like, because we'll start working on a point, a ridiculous point, so far into the future that it's something that could never, ever, ever happen. Yet we want to have our own, opinion reign supreme in that future moment where we see it a certain way, and it's just like,
I know. When I get to that point with my husband, I just imagine, all right, well, my higher self and your higher self will figure this out, and it's going to be the greatest for the both of us. I don't have to know what it looks like right now. But that way you can have it your way and I can have it my way, and it's going to be great. I find it interesting talking about running energy through time, because that is something that I have done a lot in my own life. And I find it comes up in almost every single session that I would do with a client. And I know students get really excited about running energy into the past to heal the past, to heal the trauma. One thing I've noticed is that we can almost spend too much time healing the past. And then it's like, well, we can't just keep healing the past because we're just going to stay there. And we really need to hold that intention or have that vision for the future. So what is the balance, or what would you say to someone in that situation who, they're just kind of rehashing and sending energy to the past?
There is no future. That's the first thing. And that takes a while to get completely, right? That you are creating the future with your past and in the present moment. And that's the problem.
Yeah, and you have what you're talking about. I love it.
There is none.
In the mental construct, because we have a mental construct of time, right? And again, just to finish with the rose part, I didn't mean, what I'm pointing to is when we say it's called a rose, it's different than saying it's a rose. It's called a rose. So that's an invitation to still be present with what is, right? And have your own experience of it, right? Rather than I've labeled it, now I know, and that's over. And move on, next, which is what the mind does, right? But for people that are caught up in the past, it's a big one because it's affecting us in every moment. It's there kind of in a lot of ways running the show, right? So it needs to be addressed, but not mentally. What is really cool about this is we can address it in the moment, because really the moment is all there ever is. So rather than going back into the past with the mind, we can explore what is here now as energy in the body, in our life right now. And when we bring our full presence to it, any feeling fully felt is bliss. It's just incomplete. So we have the opportunity to complete our past now, in this moment. And in completing that here now, because it's present, it's no longer the past. It's present because it's in the now. And so we can actually deal with it in the now. You can't deal with it in the past. That's mental. You can't heal it through the mind. You need to presence it here in the only place you can now. In your body now, with your energy system here now. And as we give that love, it'll self-reveal itself where we left ourselves, perhaps, or stop loving, or stop believing in life and in ourself. And so it will all come up spontaneously and naturally. You don't have to dig for it. You don't have to try and understand it. That's the beauty of it. You can just presence it with love and breath, and that's alchemy, and it will start to shift. And the beautiful thing is, once it fully completes itself, your past is over as far as affecting your now. And so when it no longer affects your present, it's already changing your future because you're different. You will see differently. You will feel differently. And so you automatically have a different future. But even the future itself is still here now, right? It's not there. It's here. So whatever I envision myself moving into, any fears that come up about my future from my past are going to come up in the now. So again, I'm presencing my future now. I'm presencing my past now. And so it becomes about being available to live our lives now. And it's only from now that we can truly connect with each other, ourselves, with nature. Right? Not in the now. So really quantum touch is such a powerful way to help us come in through the heart, through the breath, into the body, into the now, where we can actually complete these things and let the energy of love in our true nature, create our next moment.
I was just going to say, it all reminds me of that thing I have on my fridge that says, "Today is the tomorrow I worried about yesterday."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great one, isn't it?
Yeah. And all of this is super advanced contemplations on what quantum touch is trying to help us with. And that's just getting into the basics of just, pull these little pieces apart and start looking at them individually and see what you can do in a whole. And what it shifts all kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, and I think the moment you hold an intention and there's something that's not in alignment, it's going to pop up, right? It's going to come up as like a reason why that's not going to happen, or a memory of a time when that wasn't going to work. So I remind clients that the moment you hold that intention, whatever is coming up from the past is going to present itself. So you don't have to dig for it or look for it or search for it, right? It's just being present. It'll come up like a memory, or it'll come up like a feeling, like you'll get a pain or an ache or something, right? And then we can use quantum touch and run energy to that part of our body.
Yeah. And what's interesting on that point, Thea, too, is we can spend a lot of time, and it is part of the process of the past, and looking at the shadow and all that kind of thing, which, it's necessary, but hold it lightly and try not to get bogged down in it, right? It's like, and then to understand no mud, no lotus. So it's there for our highest good. It's there not because we've done something wrong or we're terrible people. It's actually been all part of growing us, and evolving us. So to understand that nature's on our side, the universe wants what's the highest for us, and trusting that process in itself is huge. But what you can find too is joy can be a much, in some ways, more powerful teacher than pain, right? Because when you start opening the heart, when you become moment focused and start really expanding, you meet whatever's in you that's limiting that.
Right.
Right? It comes up automatically. And so you're breathing into that. You're sending, so whatever arises, you're loving it. You're breathing it. You're presencing it. And it's alchemy. It's literally transforming and shifting. And automatically what fills it is the highest outcome for you. Because nature abhors a vacuum, but it's only here for our highest good. So when we let something go, it's always for something better, for deeper growth and more expansion. But joy can be a huge teacher. Like, how much love will I let myself have? How much will I allow connection to happen, to receive and give? It's huge, right?
Yeah. I mean, those are great questions to ask yourself. And I don't know if that was modeled to me, or right? I'm becoming aware of that. It's kind of this idea that, we learn best through pain. And no, I don't like that. I'd rather learn through joy. So thank you for sharing that. You mentioned a couple minutes ago, and correct me if I got it wrong, it was a moment fully felt is bliss.
A feeling.
Anything.
A
So like
feeling.
an
Anything
emotion
fully
fully
felt.
felt is bliss. Like a thought fully felt, or an experience.
Even pain in your body fully felt is bliss.
Bliss. Wow.
It goes beyond the things that we've wired up. You guys were talking about the thing, I was thinking about...
Excuse myself for one moment. I'll be right
I was
back.
thinking about how we've come into a culture of like speed healing.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Everybody wants to go to their past, dig it up, discard it, get a clean slate, pave the golden path backwards, and then, and then everything in the future will become perfect from that construct. And, like what you and Paul were talking about, the joy of you don't have to go in and speed heal your past so you can get on with your life. And I don't believe that's what quantum touch frames for us in any way at all. It's all about allowing, very much about allowing in the breath, right? And that's the other part about quantum touch that for us was like the thing, because we've done many modalities, gone and investigated a lot of really, popular or different or using this or using that. And it wasn't until we found quantum touch that we were like, this is the one, because it uses the breath. We're breathwork facilitators, have been for a long, long time. And so the breath is like, it's pivotal to our lives in the sense of like, nothing is like, nobody takes anything and does it perfectly. No matter what is important to you, there's always going to be a fudging in some little spot, perhaps. And this is all that we're asking is that you can allow yourself to be the human you are and do your humaning through that and be able to allow also the potentials, the possibilities, from the realm of possibilities into the realm of probability, because it's coming right through your body, going from, if it's possible, it's here. And if it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen here in this third dimension. And what's the connection? You are, right? So there's your future, and here's where we make the past. In the eighth, right? Every day we have a new past to look at.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's just such a beautiful message. It really is empowering and optimistic, and an optimistic belief, right? That we can learn through joy, that we can access our breath and feel more love. Because I thought that was another interesting thing is when I first started learning quantum touch, it was like, okay, well, I need someone to run energy on. I guess I could run energy on myself, but I know I should use this for somebody else. And then it slowly morphed into I use it more and more in my day to day. But now my limitation is, do I feel like I'm worthy of running the energy? Because it's always available. So that's the limitations that I'm becoming aware of in my own life is, am I going to let myself use it? And then I catch myself and then I run the energy and I invite myself to experience this life force energy, this love, this learning through joy. That'll be my new thing. I love that.
It's like your inner healer and your higher self. We've been talking about inner healer and higher self, and are they the same thing? Right? And I was thinking about it and I was like, well, my higher self, I perceive the 10th chakra, the higher self, as an aspect of the personality I came in to embody, but not fully that, but more, some other aspects of things that are more, ideal in terms of like, who this personality is behaving like and all the things. Not that it isn't a good person, but it's just always working at it. And that the higher self is here to go, well, a little bit of this or a little bit of that, and you might find this a little bit easier. And then I was like, is that my inner healer? Is that the one who is going to, and I've been coming to a place where it's like, no, my inner healer, like I perceive the higher aspects of myself that love me, follow me around, and try to give me good advice. Differently than the one that is embodied by me, my inner healer, that is in me, always working like my breath is. Without it, I'm gone. Whereas the higher self is a little bit more, optional as to whether I'll listen to it or not. But, becoming more in tune with it brings me more into it, and it brings more juice to my inner healer, perhaps, in the sense that the inner healer is like, wow, I'm getting some help from the higher self. It's managed to talk this person into a few little things, and they're starting to work out. I love it. That kind of way of being.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And then what I've learned alongside, to add into that, we're almost just creating fractals of source, giving them different names, but so that we can interact with it. But what I've noticed with my kids is when I step back and let them learn, they have like an inner learner. They have this like innate curiosity, and they gain knowledge and understanding through that. So just like I don't have to tell their body how to heal. I don't have to tell their mind how to learn. Really interesting.
Yeah, you know, and there's a Mormon village in Hawaii. I don't know if you ever went there. They're all the islands and Fiji and Hawaii, and they're all elders and some younger people too. But each village is based on their basket weaving, their tool making, their dances, their music, their instruments. You know, it's really cool, right? And you go into each village and you see how different they all are and yet similar. But I was really moved by one of the elders saying, you know, who could still remember being a child, a free child, you know, before the school system. And he
Not that
said
we don't like
what
the
they,
school.
yeah, you know, but still, what he said, you know, with children, they have an innate need to learn and understand, and you don't have to force them. He said, when they're ready, we teach. When they're not, we don't. Simple as that. They go play, they always come back. But what they're learning also makes sense. It's like basket weaving, building homes, gathering food. Like there's something that kids can directly relate to, you know. Oh, but I love that. You know, we don't have to put a kid in a chair and they're supposed to play and interact with, and then force feed them information they'll memorize and spit back out. That's not learning. That's programming, you know. And so it's really cool that kids learn through play. You know, they learn the most through play. We should be letting them play as much as possible and not worry that they're gonna lose out. They're not. They're learning everything they need from each other, the play, nature,
Remember to play.
explore, remember to play. Yeah.
All of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what we do in QT too. It's really just very playful. You know, everything's light. You know, the fingers are light. You're not forcing. You're not. You're not. You know, you're allowing the innate intelligence to bring what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. And one of the things I think you talk about it a lot,
Yeah.
Kath, is that why have you done quantum touch so many years? Because I needed it. You know, because it's like anything. It's a it's a repetition that starts to teach us. My God, you know, when I do let go of my way, what happens is always way better than I could ever thought of. So it's like a trust muscle. You start to trust more and more as you use it, right? And so you start to go, am I aware of my breath? To the point where you're aware all the time. Because as soon as you're aware of your breath, you're present. And you're breathing into tension and stress. And right, you're relaxed. You're in your parasympathetic nervous system all the time. So whatever arises in the moment, you know, I'm sweeping, we call it sweeping and breathing in QT, right? My heart's open. I'm embracing it with an open heart and breath and presence. So it becomes a way to live so that instead of reacting, knee-jerk reactions, you're actually able to respond and say, well, I could just as easily sweep and breathe and send love here and embrace that, regardless of what my mind or my ego is telling me I'm supposed to do, right? And it is freedom. It does create a freedom.
Yeah, I've started doing it when my kids get really overwhelmed and when we have a moment what I might have called like a temper tantrum, and I noticed they would feel a lot of emotions and I would get really worked up, and then I would start breathing and sweeping for myself just to help bring myself into regulation. And then I realized it brought them into regulation, and then they just gave me a hug, and then they would run off playing, and then I was like, oh, I can use this.
Practical.
This is like a tool I can use in my day to day.
And that required no infringement on their free will.
No.
Right? That's the beauty of it. You know, how applicable is quantum touch? 24/7. You can sweep and breathe 24/7. You can offer love 24/7. It will be accepted or not. And if somebody's not in a place, like if your kids were really working through a big piece for one of them or both of them, their response would be delayed, but it would eventually come. But they'd have that space to work that out through, right? And that's all we can ask for here, is to just be given a breath to take a breath, to be in the breath. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So one thing I did want to ask you about, because people will come into the workshop and they'll be curious about the energy. So how do you explain perceiving the energy to people who are coming into the workshop?
I-
Go ahead,
okay,
yeah.
yeah, okay. Good question. Well, they do it by becoming aware of your breath, automatically brings you into your body. And as you're in your body, you start to become aware of sensations. And sensations, right, are our way of perceiving energy. And so we all perceive energy, right, a certain kind of way. And each person kind of has their own way of sensing. And so we encourage people really tap in and see how you perceive, how you sense, how you're interacting through your body with the world around you. And when you start to open up the chakra system and you start breathing and opening the heart and raising your field vibration, the sensations will increase. And people will notice that. So notice the sensations increasing because they're actually energy moving through you. So become very aware of what you're starting to sense. And then get really curious about what is going on in your body. Well, my hands are tingling. You know, I kind of see light. Or I feel like I'm hearing a hum. You know, I feel expanded, you know, and then get curious about, well, what's sensing the expansion? What's noticing all of these things? It's you, beyond your mind. It's your true self, your true presence that you're starting to wake up to through the process of just becoming aware of breath and sensation in the body. And you notice that when we do kind of supercharge some of the processes, your sensations will increase, right? Because they're our way of tracking energy, of noticing how it's moving through us. And so quantum touch really focuses on sensation in the body. And isn't it directly tied in to the quality of life we experience? Like you're talking about
Absolutely.
we talk about it. What's a quantum life? Like what does that mean? Well, it means you're here for it. Like you're having an intense experience of connection, of joy, of receiving, giving love, of the wonder of it all. You know, that's a quantum life, and you can only have a quantum life if you're here for it. You can't have it up in the head. You experience it through the heart. And we begin kind of conditioned. Yeah, there's a place for the head for sure. You know, we respect that, of course. But it's not there to solve problems in your life or relationships or to enhance how we are being here. You know, it's not its territory. It's the heart that knows. The heart knows, and as we trust the heart more, right, and see how much better things go,
Yeah.
then it's automatically, we're not dumb. It's like, whoa, that was way better than that way. I think I'm going to keep doing it this way. You know?
You know, what keeps coming up is a feeling is energy in motion,
Yeah.
right? And so, you know, if you cut yourself, you have a feeling because the energy in your body is like, whoa, cut on the arm, everybody over there, right? And they are in motion. There's a rescue attempt going on because you could bleed and things, and the body doesn't know where it's all going. It's just got this information. There's been a cut, right? So that feeling of even, the sensation of pain is everything in your body rushing quickly to one spot to help start repairing things automatically. And that's the feeling of pain. Energy in motion, it's like when you have a feeling of dread of something, like you see something and your stomach drops. That's energy in motion. Your whole internal nervous system has gone woof. because there's a shrinking in of something because the mind has said, pull back, right? Energy in motion, right? And then there's that upliftment and that heart opening and all of those things. That's energy in motion. And the energy of your whole body is like, oh, I love that feeling. Let's go to the heart and just like everybody have a party. I'm a heart cell and I'm so alive. And here we go. And these are the energies that we call feelings because we feel them.
So when you have that feeling of dread, say someone experiences this feeling of dread, and now their attention is going into that space. And then I guess we would want to become aware of that. I guess what I'm asking is, what would be the tip to tell a client, or what would you say to a student when they feel that dread and now they just kind of feel like they're stuck in that?
Yeah. And so when you go back to the examples, like the cut in the body, you don't get to do anything in the body. You can go and, you can go get a Band-Aid, or you can call the doctor or 911 or whatever's the severity of it. And your body is doing this automatically. Right? And as it is on the other far end of the spectrum for the heart, when you're filling up with love and you're just, you're overwhelmed by the feelings of love, you might do something about that. You might go hug someone, or write a beautiful note, or, take a picture of something that's inspiring you, whatever that is. These are the actions you take afterwards. So when you're saying, so when that is a negative feeling that is caused by an emotion, how do I then transmit the negative thoughts and talk with the emotional body? And so part of that is that's the deeper processes that we do eventually go into, and everything starts to weave in and starts bringing things to your mind that you will be able to use. And to cover all of them is to try to give an individual, pointer for each person on the planet, in the sense that it is so unique to us. Because, and then even over time, I have noticed something that would have caused me dread, as I have dealt with it, and all you can do is bring attention to it, breathe, and feel the sensation. As I've brought attention to it, I've noticed at times something will happen and I'll go, that was something that could have taken me out mentally in the moment for that whole moment, and I've lost connection to the present moment and who I'm talking to or what I'm seeing, or even driving my car or whatever, and I can start to see how that will take me out in other areas, right? And how it expands on that, and it's going in and bringing the breath to it to just allow to expedite the feeling. And then it might bring up more thoughts and more feelings, or it might actually bring in a thought, that is consoling to the psyche, and the body starts to calm down, and all the hormones from the brain just start sending nicer chemicals. Or it could bring something in that's accelerating to you, and you're still and that might be exactly what that whole point is for. It doesn't mean that we get to avoid everything that's uncomfortable in our lives, that we shouldn't deal with them, but and that something uncomfortable might bring us into a deeper awareness of something underneath that. I love going the layer down, and it's yeah, that's a really good explanation for all that, and want to go another layer down.
Or we can fully feel it and experience bliss.
Exactly. Yes. And I think what Kathie's
and
touching...
you can do that by going another layer down, or just laying back and going into the ecstasy of the breath and the feeling. But who's there every day?
Right.
There's a lot of combination going on.
Yeah. And I think what you're really touching into as well, hey, is what is our belief when something happens that doesn't feel good, right?
Where did it come from?
It's that's key right there, and that's a belief system, right? In the sense of, what's expected of me here? How do I deal with this? I don't like it. Yeah. I want to be happy. I don't want to feel any sad feelings or bad feelings, or, so right there is really the crux, I think, of where it shifts. And what we teach in Quantum Touch is that, under reactivity is reacting your past, which is now reaction, re-experiencing the past in the present. So it's a gift. It's an opportunity to heal something in this present moment here now from the past that is getting in the way of me fully being here, present in
Which
happiness
is a
and joy.
realization that can
Right?
bring bliss.
It can bring, yeah.
Oh,
And
God, it's
so
on me all the time.
when it comes up in the moment, instead of resisting it, because that's what the natural thing to do is, I don't want this, I don't like the feeling, I want to be happy, I don't like pain, Over time, you develop this ability to realize, oh, it's an opportunity for healing right now, right? It's not here because I'm wrong or done something bad or anyone else. It's here to show me, it's here to teach me, and I can be with this differently. So, what resists persists. So the first step is just allowing it to be there. Just allow it to be there without the mental bad, good, whatever. It just is, and it's here. And right? And right away, that sort of allows the flight or flight response to quiet. So you can now bring in the parasympathetic and bring healing to it instead of fight or flight and going into the nervous system and traumatizing. And so this is key, is to be just with what is. And when you learn in quantum touch, my God, I can actually grow from this, and I have tools that I can alchemize this. I can transform it. And so you become a little bit more relaxed and confident over time. And the more we're able to use it, the more it shows us another way. Oh, this way is better. I like this way a lot better. And I've got tools now that I can shift, and by just raising the field of my vibration. So it's all about field vibration, and knowing that when your vibration is higher, any low frequencies cannot remain low frequencies for long. They'll start to just automatically let go into a higher realm of frequency.
They don't have the power to pull
they
down.
can't pull you down. Right. So you become very aware of maintaining your field at all times, right? And that's a beautiful way to live, is as this living field. Right? And anything that comes up is just an opportunity for deepening your own growth or the growth of others. Or like they say, everything becomes either a cry for love or an extension of love. So if it's coming within me, it's a cry for love within me. Can I meet myself there with love? Can I meet myself? Instead of projecting it out and saying that circumstance caused this or that person, I can go, no, actually my reaction to it is me. It's all about me. And so if I can presence this and be with it, I can have a different experience. And then when I interact, I'm not reacting, I'm responding, and that is like a complete game changer in our lives. And it's not, is it easy? No. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Does it work? Yes.
The other part with that is community and learning together in a workshop and not doing it on your own, and being around other people who are also simultaneously going through it and experiencing it. There's so much beauty and power in that. Because the interesting thing is, when we talk about resonance and entrainment and being at the same vibrational level, we're feeling things together. And I think that has been a really big eye-opener for me, is, am I the only one feeling this, or there's other people feeling this? And then I don't feel alone in it. Because I think an old belief would have been, and maybe kind of masked with some shame, of like, oh, I'm feeling this and I can't let anybody know. I'm going to hide this and I'm going to suppress this. But what was really interesting when we come into the workshop is we've noticed that other people are feeling the same thing. And it's like, oh, I'm not just feeling this alone. There's other people too. And then it's like the vibration just rises.
Yeah. It's the track of quantum touch. I just love it. It's intention, attention, focus, frequency, vibration. And what you're talking about, really deeply is resonance, right? And then the entrainment. And there's a technique in supercharging called amplification you do with the chakras, but I talk about amplification in another way as well in my run through that, because when I'm doing it for myself, it's like after I've had a resonant frequency and something is entrained to that, I am amplified, and so is that. Right? And so then and then it's like navigating the amplification, going back to intention, attention, focus, frequency, vibration, resonance, entrainment. And so when I look at the next roll out of that I want after this amplification of having others come in and be with me in this, and I'm feeling amplified, it's like I want to go back to my intention then and set a new intention for this amplified state that I'm in, so that I go up to a new amplified state that isn't, that is going in the direction I want to take myself in that amplification. And this is what we do for 2 days in a workshop, is continually bring the container into that amplified resonance of love and energy and breath and really positivity, honestly. It could be an old word to use around this, but positive thinking is powerful. And it's like, when you got a group, and whether they're virtual, because we have some of the most powerful processes with our virtual participants, and it's just, or you're standing right there, it's like your heart's pouring out, and where are you going to take that amplification now that we're all in resonant frequency with it? It's really juicy. It's so wonderful. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and can I say that, I mean, after, for both of us, really many years of trying a lot of things, right? And it's all fun, right? It's all an adventure. But eventually, there are some places that we do end up, everybody at some point, and that is, you start to realize that I can't control life. Life happens, and uncertainty, the mind doesn't like uncertainty. So, letting go of that need to have the certainty of how things are going to turn out by knowing and trusting it's always operating for our highest good. You start to realize that, so I can make friends with mystery. I can become more comfortable with uncertainty. I can become more comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. Right? And so it's not so much what happens to us, it's how we show up in it. And that's where true security comes from, and real freedom is. That's that. And so it becomes more about, I have tools now, I have a way of being in my life that I feel confident that no matter what comes up, I'm going to be able to handle it, and I'm going to be with it in a good way. Because usually if you check in, what you're really afraid of in life is not being able to handle something that comes up, right? It's like, but if I can actually be present for whatever happens, no matter what it is. It gives you a peace and a contentment to just be more here, and more in the joy and the adventure and the wonder of it all. You stop trying to control life, stop trying to control anyone, anything.
And you have a real experience in this moment. That can be something else than the meaning you would have given that experience if you hadn't been present in the moment, because it's all about the meaning we've given something, because that's where the past comes from. I gave it that meaning, and now I'm projecting that meaning into my future, and I'm seeing it come at me like a Mack truck.
And so when we are practicing that presence, that presence process of being present, what happens is a whole new world opens up for us. And in that world, there's all kinds of resources and new things available that weren't before. And you go, oh wow, this is super cool. I have more resources now, more tools than just my five senses. I mean, science has already showed us there's 31 senses available to us so far in just 3D, in our bodies. Yeah, in our that they're proving that. Now, if you go into the inner sensorium, that's the inner gaze inward and start exploring the universe within you, it'll open up. And that is like, apparently there's 360 senses available to us.
Sure, it's a complete circle, right? All the way around,
imagine
every which way
imagine
you
what
go.
your life would look like. I mean, when you have someone like Helen Keller, who through a disease lost the ability to see and hear, she went crazy, right? And in a way, I wonder if we haven't just got more dense and more dense and more dense and lost more like of those abilities that we once had. And we're all feeling kind of crazy.
And we're learning how to communicate
because we're
again.
like, man, this is all I got to work with here. It's like tough, Whereas we're reopening to more resources, more ways of experiencing things and shifting our energy, and that's where it gets amazing. And so when we say to people in our classes, like, be aware of first how you are experiencing energy, and as you become aware of that, it amplifies, and then other things become available. You start noticing other gifts and sensations and ways of perceiving, and your world just gets bigger, and things start to come online. Like, it wasn't that long ago that smell and sound came on very strong for me. I was more visual kinesthetic. But it, like, all of a sudden it opened up a whole new world for me. It, like, in everyday life, the ordinary becomes extraordinary because you're having a different experience of this moment from a different place with other tools, which shows you other possibilities.
I've experienced that with smell, actually. I can be anywhere in the house and I'll know, like, when the cookies are done or the muffins are done. And I don't know if this is where I'm like, am I physically smelling it, or am I like knowing the smell? And I will come into the kitchen and there'll be like 5 seconds left on the timer. Like, oh, there we go.
Yeah.
And it was what I was going to say, and it relates to what you're talking about, Thea, is that, it's like what you were talking about, the rose, the thing called the rose. When you smell it, it's like when your sense of smell opens up, suddenly there's sound attached to it. It's like you go into the rose in a different way, and it's like your body might have come to a place where they know you've made so many batches of cookies for those kids. You're such a good mom that the smell of a cookie before it's gonna burn, and when it's not quite done yet, it's going to be too gooey, and they don't want it like that, and you don't want it too hard either. And you've gotten so in tune, whereas you didn't actually program that. But you actually did, in the sense of, like, I got a million things to do. I got to go do the laundry right now. And you programmed your brain to go, I'm going to know when those cookies are done, and they're not going to burn like they did the other day. They're not going to be too mushy. And I want those cookies ready for my kids because I don't want to bake another batch. And so the body's just like, okay. And you've got that sense of smell, and like that can also go into the sight and in sound, because the harmonics of this universe, everything is a symphony, right? And so it's like hearing a good smell, in the sense of, like, it just that feels really peaceful in my acoustical world.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been a beautiful conversation. It went way longer than I was expecting, so that's wonderful.
Sorry,
I might even break it up into two. Oh no, this is lovely. So thank you so much, Paul and Kathie, for joining us on Quantum Conversations.
Thanks, Thea. Thank you for all you do for the quantum world.
And bless all of you listeners out there. Have a great day.